literally nothing to do with you as a crew. When you land, you better expect that you're going to be breathalyzed and you're going to get your blood taken. They're going to take your blood so that way there's no question about it. They're going to look for drugs, they're going to look for alcohol, they're going to look for everything. Now, if you don't have anything in your system, no big deal, but that is normal. So it's just kind of part of what you sign up for when you be a pilot, and they're going to give you the $300 million aircraft to fly a bunch of people on. That's part of the other side of it. You got to be responsible. Which leads us into the interrogation where it all starts to unravel.
All right. So I read your rights earlier, right?
Yeah.
You kind of recall those rights and you still want to talk to me?
Yeah, I was talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So do you kind of just, before I ask you any questions, do you kind of just want to tell me kind of what's been going on and just start over and...
Yeah, I'll start over.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I had one bag and I knew that it's legal to bring it through there, but I guess I was more than anything just embarrassed to have it.
Yeah.
So I did throw it out. So I apologize. That's all that I had in there.
Okay.
I didn't ditch anything else.
Okay.
And then I honestly, I don't know how I still have, or possibly had alcohol on my breath yet, because I did have drinks yesterday afternoon, but
Okay.
I know it was.
What he's apologizing for is throwing away a bottle of liquor. And I'm not talking about the minis you've flown on first class or you've seen on airplanes, or potentially you've seen flight crew. We had these little minis sometimes on layovers, and they're just one shot. So he's not talking about apologizing about throwing a mini in the trash. He had something a little bit more. According to reports, they found this, an unopened bottle of a 1.75 liters of Phillips vodka. And this isn't just a generic photo of vodka that it pulled off the internet. This is actually the brand that he was drinking. Now when I saw that, I thought, oh, this must be some, I'm not a big drinker, but I thought this must be some really cool brand of vodka that I've never heard of before. And so I jumped online and Googled it to see what does it look like. Spoiler alert, they sell it at Target for $14.99, and it comes in a plastic bottle. Anybody knows if your vodka is coming in a plastic bottle, it's basically the absolute cheapest vodka you're going to get, which is going to cause you a terrible headache. But if you're just looking to drink and get drunk, then this will get you there, but the hangover, at least in my experience, is terrible.
What time about did you have your last drink yesterday?
6 o'clock in the evening.
Okay. And how many did you have?
Well, that was like my last drink I had. I think I had 4.
4?
Yeah.
About 4?
Yeah.
And what were they?
I had 1 beer and then 3 mixed drinks.
Okay. And how big was the beer?
Just a can.
Okay.
Can.
And what were the mixed drinks?
It was vodka.
Okay. Mixed drinks. So did you feel any of the effects still today?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm blown away.
Okay. And have you ever flown an aircraft while you felt any effects from alcohol or anything else? Okay.
No.
So you came through, you went up, sat in the airplane. Where were you kind of, when I came up to you, where were you kind of in your progress? Were you doing your in-flight checks? Had you already completed your in-flight checks? Or?
Hadn't even started. Just talking to Dave.
Okay.
Literally, what I did is I pulled the flight plan out.
Okay.
Remember, this is happening on a Tuesday. He originally told the police that it had been 3 days since he had drank the last time. So there's already these multiple lies that are happening. He's lying about going to the crew room, which wasn't true, and they proved that. He's lying about the last time he drank being 3 days ago, and it's not showing that to be accurate. So there's a lot of things where there is a reason for them to keep digging. There seems to be something that's being hidden here. What you're about to see here as they get into the explanation of the results from the breathalyzer that he just did.
And it looked like you guys were getting ready to board because there's a couple passengers already on. It looked like the one that needed extra assistance. You guys were just getting ready to board, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not really familiar, but I don't really.
You don't deal with that? Okay. And where were you flying to?
San Diego.
Okay. And this was your first flight of the day?
Yeah.
Where were you going from San Diego? Was that your final, or are you
We
from?
were laying over there for
Okay.
18 hours.
Okay. How often do you drink before flying? Like, or how often do you drink? Is it often that you have drinks the night before you fly?
I can't say that I do or don't.
Okay. So I guess is it common to have 3-4 drinks the night before you fly?
No,
Okay.
no. I wouldn't say that that's a regular deal.
Okay. So I guess another question then is, I guess, when you came up to the screening area,
Yeah.
what were you kind of thinking? Because I know obviously you're kind of worried. It was just embarrassment, you said. Was there
Yeah.
anything else going on? Or
No, it's
did you think that maybe you still have alcohol in your system and that's why you should maybe go back and
Not
get
at
that?
all.
Okay.
Not at all. No.
Okay.
No. I just really was like, well, this is going to look stupid. That is, you know, taking out, you know.
This is relevant where they're trying to figure out that there was intent to go flying. There have been cases where pilots will show up and be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. It's just, we're human at the end of the day. And they'll say, oh, I never really intended to fly. I just was walking to the plane and walking around the plane. You know, they might say something like that. So they're asking, and they're trying to prove intent, that the intention was for this pilot to actually operate the aircraft. By doing pre-flight checks and things like that, it is showing that you have the intention to go fly. So the detective is trying to figure out, is that the case? Did you intend to go fly the aircraft? That's why he's asking him this.
Hadn't even started. I was talking to Dave.
Okay.
Literally, what I did is I pulled the flight plan out.
Okay.
Now, from a pilot's perspective, if you've seen my vlogs, you've seen all the work that I'm doing before I even get to the aircraft. I'm checking weather, I'm checking alternates, I'm checking fuel. Well, this flight is going from Minneapolis to San Diego in July. Surprise, spoiler alert, it's going to be 80 and sunny. There's really not a lot of homework that you need to do in this short of a flight, this type of year, going to San Diego in the middle of the day. And even if there is a problem, there's a lot of other airports nearby. You're going to be going past Vegas on your way there. You're going to be close to Los Angeles. You have so many alternative options when you're doing a domestic flight like this in the middle of summertime going to Southern California. So the level of preparation is a lot less than, let's say, when I'm flying. A lot of times I'm going a long ways. It could be 10, 12 hours. So what's the weather like where we're going? What's the weather like on the way there? What are our backup plans? There's a lot more preparation. Showing up like this, you would have done some preparation, but nothing near what you've seen when I've prepped for my flights. Even now, when I do a domestic flight, even on a 747, if I'm doing, let's say, Miami to Houston, obviously in the summertime there's going to be some thunder showers and things like that, but the level of preparation is a lot less intensive because there's a lot more options and there's a lot more backup plans, and when you're going across the ocean, limited on fuel, weight, and things like that. So him being kind of nonchalant with like, oh, I just downloaded the flight plan is a little bit strange. Like you're boarding the plane, but all you've done is just now downloaded the flight plan. It seems like a little bit more lax than it should be, but I definitely wouldn't expect that he would have done all the preparation that you've seen me do as I get ready to do a long international flight. So it's a little bit lax, but not ridiculous.
I just really was like, well, this is going to look stupid. That is, you know, taking out, you know.
Now, there's nothing that prohibits him from transporting or flying with alcohol in your bag. I know pilots that have done it. It's a pretty common thing. A lot of times when you go overseas, you might go over to Europe or South America and you'll grab a bottle of wine. I've done it before, and I drink maybe once every few years. I rarely drink, but I'll grab a bottle of wine or something as a gift. So there's nothing to prohibit you from doing that. I also know pilots that they have a certain whiskey that they like to drink, and so they'll just fly wherever they're going and they'll bring their own whiskey because obviously it's a lot cheaper to bring it with you than go buy it at a bar or at a restaurant. So it's not uncommon, and there's nothing against having an unopened bottle, and in some airlines having an open bottle. Now, I do have more restrictions because there are certain places that I fly to that are dry countries. In the Middle East, there are countries that I go to, and there are countries that we go to where they prohibit you from bringing alcohol inside the country. Many to San Diego, there's no reason to do that. So there's no reason to have that be a problem. to have that in there, but you're about to find out why he's embarrassed about it.
And then, is there any reason why you were dishonest with us on the flight? Because I asked you numerous times, kind of, had you been drinking? When was the last drink? You told me Saturday.
I just was embarrassed,
Okay.
This was, just out of shame in my life, and, so.
And then, obviously you said you felt okay flying, because I asked you a couple times, and I even gave you the opportunity to leave and get off the aircraft. I told you a couple times that you can go home instead of flying before we did the breathalyzer, and you say that you felt okay to fly, so you felt all right.
I mean, apparently I did. I mean, like I said, I'm really surprised that it didn't happen. So.
Okay.
Now this blows my mind. The pilot was given the out of all outs. The detective gave him the option to call in sick. And the thing is that every airline pilot, as we prep before we go to the airlines, we go through all these different scenarios. And one of the scenarios that every airline pilot, if you know an airline pilot, you ask him this question, his answer is going to be something similar to this. Because the airlines will often ask this to see kind of what your response is. And it's, hey, you're a first officer, we've hired you, you're at the airline here, and the captain shows up to the plane and he seems drunk. What are you going to do? They want to see that, A, you're going to push back and not let that captain go fly the plane drunk and endanger your lives and all the lives of everybody on there as long as they're aircraft and violate its whole career. They want to see that. So they want to hear what you're going to have to do about it. Now, there's a bunch of different answers that people give. But one of the very common ones that people say is, well, this is what they say in the interview. Well, I would tell the captain, hey, Cap, you don't look real good. Maybe you should call in sick. And if the captain, and then they go, well, what if the captain refuses to call in sick? You go, Cap, if you don't call in sick because you don't look fit to fly at all, I'm going to have to call in to the scheduling or to the chief pilot and tell them that you're sick because I don't feel comfortable with you. You don't look well enough to go fly. You don't seem normal. You don't seem your normal self that you normally do. So whatever it is, whatever that captain's response is, you always push back. You never let them fly. That's like rule number one. That's everything that you learn. So here this detective obviously is not knowing about airline interviews and all that stuff. Is there in the flight deck. I'm guessing the captain's probably sitting up there as well. And the detective's giving him this option like, hey, I gave you the option to call in sick and just kind of like walk away and just pretend this didn't happen. And he was like, no, I'm good to fly. That blows my mind.
And then you just told the captain, what did you tell the captain? I think his name is Dave, right?
Yeah.
What did you tell him when you got on? It was just normal, or did you guys talk about anything when you first got on?
We were just talking about time off. We were talking about, how many days are coming off. I said, yeah, I had like a week off. He's like, yeah, me too. And, we were just talking about our sick policy and the contract talk, so basically just catching up. We've flown together multiple times, so.
So not every time, but fairly often you fly with him?
This has been my third or fourth time flying with him. Yeah.
Is there anything else for me that you have any questions or anything right now? Otherwise, I'll kind of explain everything going forward.
Now, Delta's a huge airline, and Minneapolis is a large base for them. Flying with someone 3 or 4 times is a lot. At my airline, Delta probably has, 8 times the amount of pilots that my airline has. If I fly with someone 3 times, it's a lot. It's a lot of times. I rarely fly with the same person. So flying 3 or 4 different times with someone means you probably have similar seniorities. So you're bidding similar types of things or similar destinations that you like. So 3 or 4 times, it seems like, wow, that's hardly at all very much, but it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot of flying. So you kind of get the rhythm and you kind of know what everybody's expecting. Everyone has their own nuances. So you're going to feel more comfortable with somebody and you'll have a little bit more chit chat that will go on after you've flown with them 3 or 4 times. So it is kind of a lot.
Yeah, you can just explain.
So basically what's going to happen is you're not going to jail today. Okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to finish up. What you're going to do is you're going to be booked You are gonna be right now charged, pending charges, pending the blood result test, okay, that you provided for. You're gonna be pending charges for, Minnesota statute 360, which is operating an aircraft under the influence of alcohol. The threshold for an aircraft is 0.04, so
Right.
0.04 compared to 0.08 in a regular vehicle.
Right.
There's other commercial vehicles thing that are 0.04. Aircraft is one of them. Like I said, your preliminary breath sample was a 0.063, or sorry, 0.065, just so you know. So that's where we're going to go. You're going to get booked, just fingerprints, photographs, and then you'll be released. It sounds like your chief pilot, I don't know if familiar with the Army, wants to come pick you up and give you a ride. That's up to you, obviously, but I don't know if they were obviously made aware of the situation. That's up to you how you want to get home. I'm not going to recommend you drive just because of the whole situation. So he wanted to come pick you up. However you want to get home, that's up to you. And then you go from there. What'll happen is once your blood test results come back in,
What's the time frame?
I can't say for sure. It depends on their caseload and things like that. I'd say probably a month. So it is going to be a while. Yeah, that's all up to the VCA or county where the blood results get sent out to and get tested at a lab.
A month.
So it's a while.
Okay.
Yeah. Fortunately, it's not like a breath test or anything where it's instant and we know and we can charge right away. So while we're waiting for those, what's going to happen is most likely, since it is involving aircraft, kind of on the job, it'll be likely referred to the U.S. Attorney's Office and they'll charge it out. If they don't want to charge out for whatever reason or decline, then it'll come